outside of Boise, Idaho, and most of the trails are sandy. And I'd get to a rocky part on the trail, and she wouldn't want to go. And I'd think, you stubborn horse, you know, and I'd have to get off and lead her. And I mean, that is like a no-no, you know, for a rider. That's the last thing you want to have to do is get off a horse and give in and lead him. And what I realize now is that that was instinct. Wild horses don't have to go through the rocky areas. If there's a way around, they're going to go around. And she would want to take me up this canyon wall and around the rocks. And now I can see why. But back then, it just frustrated me. And I remember coming home from one ride one day, and I told my husband, I said, this horse will never make an endurance horse. She is so stubborn. She would drive me crazy. And so she was mostly a pet, you know, that I rode. But I ended up riding her more and more, and finally things started to click a little bit, and we went to our first endurance ride about, I guess 6 years ago now. And last year she was a national middleweight champion in the American Endurance Ride Conference, which was a pretty neat feat for a horse that I didn't think would make an endurance horse. About 95% of the horses that we compete against are Arabians, and they're really tough, really nicely bred horses. And what I found is the Mustang grows up in an endurance climate. They've got to survive. They've got to know where their feet are. They have to know how to negotiate rocks, how to go distances without water, all the traits that you need in an endurance horse. So to me, it's no surprise that a Mustang can do well on an endurance ride. For those of you that aren't familiar with endurance, it consists of a ride of 50 to 100 miles in one day. And they're very well patrolled by veterinarians, and if the horse is in the least bit of trouble, they are pulled from the ride. So it's the horses are not abused. Ladies' forte is 100-mile rides in one day, and last year, I'm sure a lot of you probably have heard of the Tevis ride. It's the oldest endurance ride in the country and starts up here outside of Lake Tahoe, goes over the Sierras to Auburn. There were 238 horses that started that ride last year, 40% finished, and Lady was number 2. And we were real proud of that. And I think she's shown the endurance world and the horse world that the Mustang has got a lot to offer, not only as just being a nice horse to ride, but they can also be a top athlete. Our goal is to someday compete in the Olympics. Endurance riding has been proposed as a demonstration sport in the Olympics, and I just think it'd be really neat to take a Mustang to the Olympics, and that might kind of change the history of horses. But anyway,